Good morning or afternoon rather, Mrs. Ting and Mr. Timothy. I will be presenting my debrief into what happened in the past and how to avoid it in the future. To record. Okay. What happened? Um, on the 20th February, last point of contact with Shirley Tan, the HR manager, that she confirmed the date and time of my presence on February 23 on Tuesday. An automated email was sent to give details on who will be interviewing me and the location. I wrongly assumed that the email will have a person on the other end, to which I asked to push back timing, assuming it was received. On the 25th February, alright, typo, 25th February, 2:30 p.m., I was at Garden by the Bay office preparing for the interview, to which it ended around 3:10 p.m. I then rushed on foot to MBS, where I had to ask the staff where the talent hub is located. But the delay of me asking and interpreting their words to the location cost me time, which means I arrived even later. By then, I was beyond late, and then I made contact with Shirley Tan again via WhatsApp. I do not have phone data, so contacts with me were unsuccessful when my dad was contacted instead. And then this leads to the 27th February, Thursday, 11 a.m., where the rescheduled interview is. I brought up my lateness and apologized, explaining what happened and how I plan to avoid it in the future. The interview debrief will be in the next slide. So what went wrong? No, there was no two-way communication between me and the people on the other end, which is Miss Shirley Tan, email-wise and Gmail-wise, because data issue, yeah. And I assumed that my message was received on the other end when they didn't acknowledge. I still went ahead anyway, assuming it was received. Okay, so this is the debrief on the interview process, to which Miss 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 Ting and Mr. Timothy were presented. I assume that Miss Shirley Tan was an interviewer because under all the rush and chaos, there were so many things that went wrong. Okay, for the first 5 minutes of the interview, I briefly introduced myself, talking about the three skills which I learned from college that I felt that were the most important, which were leadership, speaking well, and strategic thinking. I was stopped at the strategic thinking when the interviewer want to know me personally instead of me reading a pre-written transcript. And the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes into the interview, they dive into asking my job experiences, to which I folded immediately. Admitting my resume is exaggerated due to me having no formal experience. And also I wanted to work at MBS. So I gave more interview about my education background, explaining I didn't choose to work um when during my time in ITE during COVID, to which an option was presented. I can either choose to go ahead and work or do a project. And I choose to do a project. Polytechnic wise is a bit more complicated. I didn't dive in, but clarified I didn't have a criminal record because um they thought that I might have a criminal record, which is why I didn't get a job. Okay, so 15 minutes into the interview, that's when my memory get foggy. I didn't immediately debrief once I get back home because I was a bit tired. But this part, I'll do my best to be as accurate as possible. So it was thought I could have jumped to corporate given my knowledge of the 3 points into the intro. So why not just jump there? And why MBS? So I stated my reason for the first and second, and it was known by the interviewers I had applied to 19 other roles in MBS, which I stated my reasons. And yes, I do have a legitimate interest in those roles. So for the last 5 minutes of the interview, I asked them what they don't like about me and then stop them because I want to reflect first, sharing what I did wrong. So I let them know what I think I did wrong before they can tell me. And then after that, I was stopped halfway, where I was shared a perspective from her instead, Mrs. Ting. But I'm glad I own up because I wanted to build the trust with them. I stated some figures and quotes which reflected the hotel industry. So what went wrong? The interview went off to a bad start because I was late and I apologized 2 days ago, to which their friendly smile dropped to a serious business face. It went down even further when I admitted immediately my resume was exaggerated and explained the reasons. So in the hotel industry, there's this thing called the point of contact, the first point of contact. And I felt that it's very important that the first point of contact is positive. Okay, third reason. Okay, no, the third point. The interview in code blue zone was stabilized when I confirmed my education background and stated I do not have a criminal record. I I felt there was a sentiment where I am not local because I spoke in a Western accent, to which I assured them once I'm in the team, it eventually fade off because everyone else was speaking Singlish. So yes, I'm a Singaporean. It's just that the content I've been watching involve a lot of Western accent, which eventually rub off on me. Unfortunately, my attempt to speak Singlish during the formal interview backfired when I forgot Mrs. Ting's name and called her auntie. She snapped back saying not to call her auntie. Yeah, that's bad. Okay, next last point. There were doubts about me fitting the role due to the labor, the wrong way of typing. Due to the intensive labor scope of the job, pushing heavy carts. Okay, how to avoid it in the future? Two-way communications via comms and in interview. So in comms, you have to make sure that the other party had received your message, and in the interview, you want to build trust with them and also to understand the job role beyond the job description. So it's not just them interviewing you, but it's you interviewing them. Okay, don't lie in resume. It gives you a bad start. And when someone intros their name, write it down. Okay, oh yeah, right. Additional information. I start. I stated to Miss Shirley Tan, the HR manager, that I'll give them a debrief yesterday. No, today, and a video of myself doing physical activity. I was confident I could do it because in the past I used to be active about a year ago. Hiking over 200 times the full stretch of the forest, and a bit more longer ago, 2 years ago, I used to run 1 hour every day. And that was until personal life happened, to which I stopped. And it's not due to medical issue. It's a bit long, but yes, nothing to do with my medical issue. Okay, so I decided to try out again, confident I could prove myself. I just climbed 20 stories in the HDB, then realized I guessed out too fast. So this job has 100 people applying for the job, and definitely there'll be someone else who could exceed me in this labor-intensive activity. Yeah, it will take too long to go through the video, but yeah, there's no time to speed it up because it's a short video. But I did climb the entire 20 stretch, but I was already pretty gassed out by then. So upon reflection, I'm not so sure whether I'm fit for this job anymore due to its labor-intensive requirements. It's like bars, and the hardest part about bars is what you have to do afterwards. So I'm still open if the interviewers have other roles they can let me feel beyond the physical nature of the job itself. And yes, I did admit that whoever sent me the job first, I stated to the interview that out of all the 19 roles, whoever gave me the job first, I will just accept it on the spot because first I'm genuinely interested in the role, so I didn't really have to think too much about it. And in my eagerness to be enrolled for this minibar job, I failed to realize the fallbacks, like why the job is not as easy as it is upon reflection. So the interviewers were right, Mrs. Ting and Mr. Timothy. The interview is a two-way street. So it's not just them understanding me, but me understanding them. Um, I guess they were quite worried about my education background. So here's a photo of my school card. You can check the background if you want to play safe. So this was the Gmail where the accident happened. I assume it was a two-way communication and the other party had received my request to push back the interview. Okay, moving forward, they mentioned Mrs. Ting mentioned the five values which MBS require employees to possess, but I think the one she's pointing out uh, is integrity. So yes, very important to be honest with yourself and with others. Okay, so I want to receive feedback from Mrs. Ting and Mr. Timothy. The bad, preferably the bad first, and the good. Of course, I did hear from them during the interview, but hopefully I gain enough trust to hear their honest feedback. Of course, upon reflection, I already know, like in the debrief, I stated, what went wrong. But beyond that, what else I may not be thinking about. And I said a quote that the smartest people I know don't always have the right answers, but they know the right questions to ask. So if there's something I'm not thinking about, hopefully they can enlighten me. Yes. Okay, plan of action. What is my plan? My plan preferably to get hired by MBS. I stated my reason why MBS, most well-known hotel in Singapore and Asia. Pretty straightforward. If not MBS, then in other tourism industry. Thank you.